Hey everybody, I'm Gary Palmer Jr., you're you, and together we are minting coins. There's a lot going on today. There's a lot going on every day, from OFAC censoring and us checking out the blocks on EMV, Ethereum blockchain, to just new tools that are being developed. There's a lot happening in the world, a lot to talk about, a lot to get into, and we have a couple great people to chat with us about that. Two of them that are here right out of the gate. We have 184.eth and Serenade.eth. How are you two doing?
Great. Yeah, nice to meet y'all.
Doing well.
Awesome. And let's see, real quick, 184, you just want to, I feel like we should do introductions, right? Like, that's why I do that. I feel like we should start the show, do introductions, let people who haven't met you before, let them, be introduced to you. What do you think? Is that a good idea? You like that idea?
I like a little introduction each time, so how about I jump in? So, hi everybody. My identity is 184.eth, and it's perfect because it's the cosplay of the height and IQ that I wish I had.
Cool. Yeah, I'm Serenade.eth. As many of you probably know, on the ENS side, I am one of the support mods. Also on the team now for ENS Labs, doing dev experience, so helping out with the team, the core team as well now. I'm not as technically savvy as the actual devs on ENS, but any technical questions, go ahead and throw my way, and I might be able to help answer them.
Yeah, well, being a support mod, you get a lot of technical angles and a lot of technical direction. So you're probably not a dev per se, but I'm sure you could walk the walk and talk the talk if you were playing in a spy movie.
Yeah, basically, like in my IRL life, I'm a developer, but more on like the classical side, the legacy Web 2 side. Like, I work a lot in like Java, JavaScript, those some .NET stuff like that, and Web 3 is kind of new for me. That was kind of started like last year-ish, sometime, that I really started getting into it and started getting interested in it. It really started because I do like I fan sub anime, right? So I create like subtitle files and put them up on places for people to download, so English subtitles for anime, that kind of stuff, right? So I was always ticked off when one of the sites that hosting those subtitle files just got taken down all of a sudden with no notice, right? And then everyone can't access that stuff anymore. So I started looking around, and that's when I found ENS, and I started reading some more. It's like, oh, you can create a domain that can't be rugged, can't be taken from you. You can also take that domain and create an uncensorable website on it. So the website itself can be static content that's hosted on a decentralized protocol like IPFS as well. So basically that's what really got me really interested in it to start with. It's like, wow, this is really cool. Now we can have a place to host these subtitle files, just for my use case in particular, that is guaranteed to be like a more permanent archive that we know is not going to go down and can't be taken down by some hosting provider like GoDaddy or whatever it happens to be, right? So that's how I got involved, and started getting more involved in ENS on the Discord, obviously, and started helping out, and that was like a year ago now. So here I am.
You definitely got in before the ENS DAO drop constitution.
Yeah, I was active in the Discord before then as well. Yeah, but definitely when that happened, I became a lot more active because like,
and a lot of people.
There's a DAO forming, like and I and many other people in the community just started answering questions in the Discord, because, as you could probably imagine, the Discord just like blew up with activity, like just overnight, just like completely blew up, just like constant messages, constant people spamming stuff and all kinds of stuff, right? So me and a few other people like helped out in the Discord, and and that's when we kind of like got onboarded as support mods to start with, and now as ENS Labs team members.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know how much like we really interacted per se, or how much I remember, but I was in those Discords a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I think the roles in that Discord have been like evolving over the course of the year. Like I think it was like, I think you might still have the roles, like whatever, like they called like a influencer role or.
I mean, back in the day, it was
MVP.
called Community MVP.
That's
yeah,
right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Me
yeah.
and
Spike Watanabe. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's really cool. That's cool. That's cool to hear, like, sort of like the genesis too, with like the anime and the IPFS, and just like the solution to the problem, and yeah, it's like for me, it's shocking to think about, like even to this day, like how smart contract, like you don't host a smart contract, and you don't really host. I mean, I mean, you do, and you could, but like you don't have to host like an IPFS file, and these systems can operate not just in a cloud, but in a decentralized cloud. Yeah, it still blows my mind. And yeah, I mean, you've done such great work as a Discord mod at ENS, just helping so many people. Yeah, I'm really grateful for you and all the good work that you've done and all the people that you help. So thank you.
Oh yeah, no problem at all. And it's what I enjoy doing, and I definitely enjoyed being part of Web3 in general, and in particular ENS. And it's fun to if I don't know one of a question, especially more technical question, to try and go find the answer.
Yeah. And Threadgirl.eth, what's up? How you doing? Popping in, popping out, one with a camera, one without a camera. We gotta get you a new webcam, I think.
Man, I'm having a super malfunction with my devices. But hello, Gary 184 Serene. Super happy to be here again, and hopefully I will be able to attend more of your amazing podcasts, Gary, for real. So thank you for having.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here for sure. Yeah, so if you're watching this video, depending on where you're at, like this video or comment with this video, engage with this video one way or another. It really helps me and really helps the show. Feel free to check out the website, mintingcoins.com. Mintingcoins.com. You can just, read the homepage, click around, become a member of mintingcoins.com, because we're going to be having behind the scenes videos. We're going to be having private videos, members only videos, where we're going to say things and talk about things that we wouldn't say or that we wouldn't normally talk about on YouTube. Might be, interesting. It might be something that, people are going to be checking out. And I'm going to be super excited to announce when those are coming through. But this is like letting you know that your support helps support us to do really cool things in Web3 and on YouTube, bringing you all sorts of really cool information. So also follow us on Twitter, and yeah, like and comment while you're here. So yeah, I guess getting into it, I got a couple quick pieces of news to go over. Unless you guys got anything super pressing.
Go for it.
Cool. So yeah, so in market news, the market's still crazy. We don't know if the market's going to go up, if the market's going to go down. A lot of people have been having it in their head that things are really bad and they're going to get even worse. A lot of people think that, I've been hearing even before the FTX stuff, people were saying that we're going to be in a bear market for 6 months to a year. And after the FTX blow up and fiasco, which, I don't think we're hardly even through, people are really, really bearish, and they've been thinking, we're really not going to, get out of this bear market for a long time. And so, 2023, we have 12 months, right? 13 months until the end of 2023. Tim Draper says he's still positive on a $250,000 Bitcoin price prediction in 2023. I don't like talking about price a lot, but, it is always fun and interesting to just, I think, dive into a little bit. do you guys think like this is good to give people hope, or do you think like just having these price predictions out there and just having these big numbers out there is just like giving people false hope and false expectations, or does it just encourage people to dollar cost average, or is it just messing with people's psychology because the market just goes up and down all the time? What do you think?
I'm personally bullish about the future of the market, but I don't like seeing those predictions and that much bullish predictions. It's bad for the investors and bad for people who are trying to come new to the space. And yeah, I don't like this at all. Those full on too bullish predictions.
Yeah, he did make this prediction. So it's not as if he's just pulling this out of his back pocket because he's trying to put himself in the news necessarily. It's being reported here that he first made this exact prediction back in 2018, right? So he made this in 2018 that Bitcoin would hit $250,000 by early 2023. And so he was just asked, hey, you still sticking with that? Or are you going to revise that? Because of like, does the FTX stuff make you want to revise that? So it's not like this is like a brand new thing. And it's interesting, right? He doesn't want to revise it. He's going to stick to what he said in 2018, even with all the craziness going on.
So to take some of the words that you said, is it bringing hope? Well, hope would be the Bitcoin stays the way it is, or goes up a little bit, goes down a little bit. Like, that's giving people a little bit of hope, and that's talking to the compelling argument of what Bitcoin is. Sticking with 250K inside of 12 months is kind of being overly hopeful, and I don't think it's helpful. So I think it doesn't necessarily do harm, but it doesn't do anything good.
I mean, I could just see, just in general, just across the ecosystem, there's definitely been, we're like definitely in the depths of despair for many people right now. And the more that I see that, the more bullish I am. But I don't know about 2023. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone a year from now. But definitely, like, it's getting down there to the state where people are just they are certain that more bad stuff is going to come, and it very well may, like with not only FTX, but the other contagion that comes with that. The other firms like Genesis, who I believe just halted something, withdrawals or loans out or something like that. Gemini had like a freak accident or whatever. I think it ended up being like an AWS outage or something like that, actually. But these kind of things, like everyone's wondering who's the next person, because there's going to be other people going under, BlockFi, Net, and other places like that. And who's the next? Is it going to be even bigger than the last one, right? This is how bottoms are formed. I don't know where that's going to be, though.
Yeah, I don't really think that we've hit a bottom. I mean, we don't know. But I mean, basically, what month is this? We have the 2 weeks in. We have 6 weeks until the end of the year. How many months is mid 2023? Does that mean it has to happen before that mid-year? Otherwise, it's, geez. 6 months is a lot. Could happen in 6 months, I suppose. And to Draper's point, your point's a really good point. Your point is that all these centralized organizations are messing up. They're going to liquid. People are losing a lot of money. It's super bearish. There's probably more pain to come. No one knows if anywhere is safe. Nobody really knows if Coinbase is safe. Nobody really knows if Binance is safe. You really don't. You can think that but just as strong as you think that's how strong people felt about FTX. And we found out that wasn't the case. And what Draper is saying is that things like Bitcoin, and he's probably saying Bitcoin specifically, but I would say things like Bitcoin, and I would say even more so Ethereum, because Ethereum being ultrasound money, that this, those centralized issues really don't affect Bitcoin and Ethereum. And if people just, if the holder of last resort, if people just continue buying the limited amount of Bitcoin and Ethereum, then there's nothing to stop that price from going up if there's buyers. But I mean, $250,000, but that's a lot of money. What is that? It's like a 15x.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that who knows, wouldn't be unheard of in the history of the market. But we've also seen diminishing returns, cycle over cycle, year over year. So I think you're muted there, Gary.
Man, I keep on doing that. All right. Well, in its other story, so 500,000 Zoom user accounts have been sold on the dark web since April. And, we keep on seeing this. We were seeing in yesterday's show how there was a KYC project that deliberately doxed a subset of their users. And in this case, we're seeing these hacked accounts that are being sold on the dark web. And, this just, I wonder how many times this is going to happen as crypto and Web3 are entering people's consciousness. How many times are these hacks going to happen where people lose their information and they, are subjected to, all the risks that this provides versus using something like signing with Ethereum, or using other technology, or just using systems where they don't have the KYC, or, you know what I mean? Because nobody had a KYC to receive their ENS name. Nobody has to KYC to use Uniswap, right? Nobody has to give up their personal information. Like, Uniswap hasn't been hacked, right? And people's information sold on the dark web. What do you guys think about these hacks happening in the world? And how do you think like signing with Ethereum affects this, and Web3 and Connect Wallet affects this?
First of all, I want to say, until people really realize that we are the product of uh, all the platforms we are using, the apps, this is not going to go away. And until people really value their anonymity more. But yeah, signing with Ethereum takes all of this away, because you're not KYCing, you're not giving away your information, you're not linking all of your accounts into one thing, So
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like, with all these different products like Zoom, or your Gmail, or your Reddit account, all these different places, you have to go and create an account, and that account belongs to them. They can close your account for whatever reason, whenever they want, essentially, because they're just a centralized private company, right? Whereas with Ethereum in general, you own your account, and you can choose to bring that account to where you want, right? So it's completely different. It's flipping that on its head, where you choose where you want your data to be input into. Now everything's like public on the blockchain. I obviously realize that, but it's completely different, where there's no centralized company that can take away or deny you access, at least to the decentralized apps. If it's a centralized front end, like an OpenSea, for example, then they still can. They can delist whatever that they want, for example, on OpenSea, because they're a centralized front end. But if we're talking about a Uniswap or some other decentralized app, ENS is another one. There's no restrictions there. There's no gates for anyone. Anyone with an Ethereum account can connect and interact with ENS or other dApps like that without any permission. So I think it's I think that I hope that happens more, especially with sign-in with Ethereum. I love the work that Spruce is doing and others to try to integrate that into the ecosystem. I hope that just grows and grows. I hope it gets integrated as like made like first class into browsers as well. I hope that happens more. So
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah.
We keep talking about Web3 being about owning your assets, and we forget the most important thing, and the most important asset we have is our identity and our personal data and personal information, and this is the most important thing about owning your assets. And I signing with Ethereum and ENS in general provides that, unlike uh, any other thing I've seen in Web3.
Yeah, and Serenay, you're talking about these centralized companies being able to, cancel us or turn things off and take things away. And in this case of Zoom, it's these centralized company not turning us off, but them losing our information. And so there's multiple risks. There's a risk of having your account taken away from you, but there's also these risks of your account being mishandled, because when you make your account at this company, you're giving them, right, they're putting in their database, what is your username, they're putting in their database, what is your password, right? And then they're going on and on about how can you fix this, right? This is a cautionary tale that outlines that online credentials should be taken seriously. Online credentials should be taken seriously. I'll repeat that again, right? And so what are the online credentials for Web3? The online credentials for Web3 is your wallet, right? It's your blockchain wallet, it's your Ethereum wallet, it's your Web3 wallet, not your keys, not your crypto. This is PGP encryption. It stands for pretty good encryption. It's the best military grade stuff that you can get, because you have a public key and you have a matching private key, and this public key private key combo is basically the strongest, most secure password that is like ever reasonably. I mean, sure, you can add another digit to it, but it's not necessary, right? Like the amount of characters and randomness in your password, your private key public key combo is very, very strong. And so here, when they're saying you should use a strong password, there's no stronger password than your hardware wallet. And because that's going to make, they're saying, you shouldn't have your password ABC123, or you shouldn't have your password superfragilisticexpialidocious, right? Or you shouldn't, have your password to be some sort of song lyric or movie title, or even a movie title with a number 1. And then they talk about password managers and 2-factor authentications, and all of these things have problems. And all of these things don't take away from the fact that you're still creating a human generated password, and you're still, giving it to that website. And we have a solution in Web3 that's signed with Ethereum.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that sign-in with Ethereum essentially empowers me to take on that point of failure risk. So obviously there's responsibility where I've got to learn to look after my own security, but it empowers me to be that point of failure rather than that larger company or that institution, which becomes a target for other people that are trying to hack them. So I'm not much of a target on my own, whereas they are quite a large target. They are more skilled and they are more capable of having that security, but I can be empowered with Ethereum and signing with Ethereum to take my own precautions and to be better. So it's definitely a way forward.
Yeah, I think the next step is making that easier. If we want to onboard that to 8 billion people, it needs to be to the state where like email is today, where even grandma can use it, right? I don't think it's there today, but it'll get there.
I was pleased that that was a lot of what I heard at DevCon this year. It was a lot of talk about UI and UX. It was a lot of talk about what do people see when they authorize a transaction in MetaMask. What do they see in their Trezor or their Ledger, when they're authorizing transactions. And there was a lot of talk about making it easier and thinking about the end user. And it was really inspiring in terms of getting that sense of thought and that sense of leadership and that sense of direction from this decentralized group of people, right? It's like everybody recognizes how at this stage how important that is, and so that's just a little reporting from DevCon in Bogota this year.
Yeah, that's definitely great to hear. I hope things definitely improve. It's going to take years to get there, I think, to that state where even grandma can use crypto and grandma doesn't need to know what a hardware wallet is or stuff like that. But
it's a big problem.
It is. Yeah.
So how do you do it? It's like, obviously it's really, if it was that easy, yeah, we would have already done it.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe there'd be some breakthrough with facial recognition technology or blood sampling or, geez, who knows?
Yeah, I think it'd probably lie in either some sort of like social threshold signature sort of thing where some multi-sig solution where it's, where like your family controls, the keys, right? And like everyone in the family has a.
It's going to be really hard to be a hermit in the future. If you're a hermit, you're not going to be able to prove you're not going to be able to log into your email if you're a hermit.
Yeah. Well, I think hopefully it'll be everyone has the choice. If they want to go it on their own, like everyone does today with their own crypto wallets, then that's fine. If you want more, if you want to trade off that sovereignty for a bit of like redundancy and the ability to like recover if you like lost or forgot like how to do things, like in the case of grandma, again, I'll throw that example out there. They might not, I mean, we can't expect her to have this tiny little Ledger hardware wallet and press the tiny little buttons and look on the little screen and type in the pin every time and stuff like that. It's like that's not going to work for everyone in the world, right? So we definitely need ways around that. We need ways to make that better.
Yeah, but there's a small line between making it better and drifting away from decentralization. Because when grandma is able to do this, I feel that what she's gonna have a call center if she lost her seed phrase, and then we're not so Web3 anymore. We're back to the Web2 ways of doing things. So I don't know, but definitely to have mass adoption, we need to have a more easier way to do things and more security. This is what we need.
Yeah, I mean it's still not perfect because like say we have like some sort of decentralized solution that does use like social graph, and you have 5 grandkids, and your 5 grandkids are enough humans to prove grandma's identity. So that means that the 5 grandkids could possibly collude and steal grandma's fortune, right? Like steal her identity and steal her fortune, right? Like how do you prevent that? Like grandma needs to like be watching that someone's not stealing her identity, and she needs to like, there's like, I mean, it's just, I don't know how we make a perfect solution. And like I was saying, if there was, but I totally agree with you, Thread Girl. Whatever this solution is, we have to think through the advantages and the disadvantages, because we don't want to re-centralize and recreate a world where we have Web3 and Web2, right? With all the bad things of Web3 plus all the bad things of Web2. It's definitely something to be mindful, right? Because there is a lot of censorship to be aware of. There is a lot of attack vectors to be aware of. And that sort of takes us to this next story over here. And so right here, we're looking at a Google page. I forgot what I put in. I put in post-merge OFAC compliance blocks. Let me zoom in a little bit. And I got to make it just perfect. Let's see. Okay. So there you go.
A nice website on that. It's like called, I think it's like Mev.
No. I got it. I got the website. this is the screen I want to show you. This is the exact screen I want to show you right here, because I want to show you Google. Like, we're looking at a Google search engine result page, and again, I pulled this up in my research, right, trying to find a website, and I was sort of like a little taken aback, because I'll tell you what I see. I see on October 14th, 2022, there was a news article that was talking about how 51% of the Ethereum blocks are now compliant with OFAC. And then, not even 2 weeks later, I see another article come out saying how 63%, 12% more of the Ethereum blocks are now OFAC. And a lot of people had a lot to say about that, about, things like us reaching sad milestones. Censoring validators would now mean attesting to non-censoring blocks. They would eventually form the canonical 100% censoring chain. It's a huge risk that's being recognized. Ethereum, Lynn Alden, Ethereum blocks went from 9% compliant to 51% compliant to, we see 63% compliant in October 26th. And MEV boost, block outsourcing takes market share. Yeah, it's a lot of people are recognizing the risks. And now we look at the live data at mevwatch.info is the website I got up. And what we see here is that we are at 73%. And I bet all the news articles, they're just waiting. They're just waiting till we hit 75%. And once we hit 75, then they'll post the article. You'll see. So it's a nicer, rounded number, I think. And 3 out of 4 are OFAC compliant, and it's not even only 15% are non-OFAC compliant, with a 12% non-MEV boost. So protocol level censorship equals bad. We want to keep the Ethereum credibly neutral by adopting a non-censoring MEV boost relay. Yeah, before we go through the rest of this page, anybody want to jump in? Serenay, I saw you had a tweet about this. What do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's I'm definitely not an expert on the Ethereum protocol itself, but I know that the numbers on that can be misleading, right? And I think they go into that on the FAQ as well there. But basically, it's the number of blocks that get proposed by validators that follow those OFAC compliant rules, which means that I think what they're tracking really is which relay built that block, and we know which relays are following OFAC compliance. It doesn't necessarily mean that. I mean, maybe like it probably happens all the time when there's an Ethereum block that goes by and there wasn't any transaction in that block that would have been censored anyway, right? Like if there's a transaction, there's no transactions that are like going to any of the Tornado Cash addresses anyway, but that block happened to be proposed by a validator that used the Flashbots relay, which is an OFAC compliant relay. Well, that block is going to be counted as an OFAC, quote unquote, OFAC compliant block, in these metrics, I believe. So there's that nuance, and there's also the nuance where it doesn't necessarily mean that there's censor transactions, or that transactions are being censored in the sense that they can't get through, because they can. And it theoretically speaking, all it takes really is for one single validator to be active on the network and not censor any transactions, and you as a user of Ethereum can send a transaction to, let's say, one of the Tornado Cash addresses, and that transaction will make it through eventually. The point is that it's going to take a longer time when you have a higher percentage of those proposed blocks being censored, or potentially being censored.
Would increasing the fee, even though there'd be less of those available to process that data, would increasing the fee increase the likelihood that they would do it?
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Because I mean, many people run their validator pointing to relays that are not necessarily OFAC compliant. And I think what many people do is they just point to all the relays available. And that MEV-Boost software is a sidecar that runs alongside your validator. So let's say you have your execution client, like, Geth, you have your beacon chain, your consensus layer client, like a Prism, for example. And then you have your validator client, which kind of may sit alongside the beacon client or maybe built into it or whatever. And then you have this optional piece, which is just, that's all you need really to be a validator. You just need the execution layer and the consensus layer, and they're talking to each other to follow the correct chain rule and propose blocks, right? And that's what the execution client does, is it provides, you can build a valid block to broadcast to the Ethereum network. But the MEV Boost is like a separate program that you can optionally run to say, instead of building my own block, I'm going to outsource that to another service. And that other service could be one, Flashbots has a relay. There's like Blocks Route. I forget all of them out there, but I think there's like a list of like 7 or so like popular ones by now. Yeah, I think you can do those there. And basically, when you do that, you are basically outsourcing the production of the block to that relay, because what happens is people send their bundles of transactions that they want to broadcast to the network directly to those services, like Flashbots, for example. So you submit like a bundle of transactions kind of privately, I think, directly to Flashbots, and then when a validator is getting ready to propose a block, they'll go and hit the Flashbots relay and pull down, I don't know the exact details, but I think it pulls down like a header of the block or something like that to say, okay, here's like a proof that I have the correct block, and here's the amount of reward that you'll get. And what many validator clients do is they'll actually just listen to all the relays. They'll listen to Flashbots relay. They'll register with the relayor relay and Blocks Route, Manifold, all the ones that people are using. They'll use all of them, and the MEV-Boost software is intelligent enough to like pick the one that has the greatest profit. So as you said just before a little bit ago, Gary, if that's one way around it, is if you want your transaction to get through quicker, yeah, definitely up the fees. And at least if there's one validator that is not censoring, it's listening to one of the relays that is not censoring, or maybe it's even producing its own blocks, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to use MEV-Boost at all. Maybe it's not using that MEV-Boost at all, and it's just producing its own blocks, and it's just listening to the regular mempool of the public mempool for transactions that are coming in and being broadcast among the network, and they can propose its own block with whatever transactions are there, censored or not. So that can definitely happen as well. So the fees can definitely help there. But I think the rub there is that, yes, it's true that if you have just one validator that's kind of doing non-censoring, it may take a while, because how often does a single validator propose a block? It's about I forget what the exact numbers is, but it's about once every 2 months. Okay, so at a single validator currently, anyway, a single validator only produces a block once every 2 months. So let's say, for example, in like the worst or second to worst case, every single validator on the network except for one was censoring, right? But there's one beacon of hope out there, one validator that's still proposing their own blocks or not censoring at all, right? Well, if you wanted to send, a transaction to Tornado Cash addresses or something like that, you could still get it in there, but you might have to wait 2 months.
And when we talk about a validator, we're talking about someone that's running some sort of Ethereum staking node with 32 ETH. That's right. And there's got to be at least one person out there with 32 ETH that wants that. I guess it had to be anonymous in like some sort of dystopian world. But I was gonna ask. Speaking of that one person, who's this Manifold? Because they're really dark green. They're really dark green in this graph. Who or what is Manifold?
I don't know what the different
these-
shades mean.
Well,
I don't know if the shades actually mean anything. They're just like ways.
Flashbots. I mean, this red one is called the Flashbots, Eden Network, Block Native. I gotta learn the Relay Aura.
I think the shades of red and green there just are ways to differentiate the different. It just means that Manifold has the least percentage of the non-censoring blocks. I think.
Right. Do you know who or what is Manifold though? Are they so they're like a block producer or what am I seeing here? They're like
I don't know a whole lot about them. The Manifold Finance.
Relay? Are they a relay?
They are like some sort of crypto company.
Are they MEV boost relay?
They run a relay. They run
a relay. I see.
Yeah, they run a MEV boost relay.
I think I think about this correctly.
Yeah, I think Manifold Finance, like by itself, is like some company.
Oh, it's Manifold Finance. Manifold Finance. Wait, weren't they the person who? They're the company that purchased ETH.link from GoDaddy auction before.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I never like really went down that rabbit hole because nobody really communicated directly from my perspective, but yeah, I never it seemed like they may have been authentic taking a business decision, but as opposed to not being authentic, or trying to be malicious. But I mean, based on this data, they look like pretty Web3 to me. Although I'm happy that the DAO, or ENS Labs or whoever has ETH.link, based on this graph, if this is Manifold Finance, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and just to say again, like I don't think the shades of green necessarily mean anything other than just like they have the smallest percentage of that.
Got it.
So I think like among the non-censoring relay producers, like the MEV boost relays, I think BloxRoute
green is green. Green. If you're green, you're green. You're just a smaller percentage of green.
Yeah, there's more nuance in there as well. Like technically, you may not be OFAC compliant, but you may censor other things based on your own ethical guidelines. So, and that's why, like I think in your previous screen, like you had like the blocks. There's two different BloxRoute ones, right? The BloxRoute Max Profit and BloxRoute Ethical, right? So BloxRoute actually has 3 different options that you can choose from. You can go the BloxRoute regulated route, which is OFAC compliant.
Wow.
And then you could do BloxRoute Max Profit, which is everything, right? They don't censor everything. Like anything that comes in that people want to submit to them, that they will bundle up into a block. And then there's a BloxRoute Ethical, which is not OFAC compliant, but they do censor some things that they feel are like bad MEV, I guess.
Yeah.
You could say like sandwich transactions where they're trying to front run other people. Like if they detect stuff like that.
Maybe like hacker funds too or something, right? Like something like that. Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you think that's a, I mean, it is censorship. I mean, but it's probably...
Yeah, but that's just a thing though, is like that's what, listen, I think like anyone that's heard me talk, it's like I understand that Web 2.5 is important, but like I'm pretty hardcore Web 3, right? I'm pretty hardcore decentralization and all that stuff. But with that being said, everybody is pro censorship. Everybody is pro censorship. Everybody in this world is pro censorship. For a fact, the only question is, where is your line, right? At what line is censorship okay for you? Because there's absolutely photos that I believe should be censored off the internet, right? There's photos that should be censored off of Twitter, right? Like illegal photos, right? And is that censorship? Yeah, it's like I mean, it's like different people have different moral lines, right? Like there's some people that would probably disagree with me, and then there's people where their moral line says that Tornado Cash is bad, and they think Tornado Cash should be right. But if we go down the rabbit hole, there's something that offends you that you think is so morally wrong that you yourself believe it should be censored. So, I think we get caught up sometimes. It's like which end of the spectrum are we looking at when we're looking at bad? And so like this one, the BioRoot, ethical, depending on how that formula was calculated, I could potentially be in agreement with that.
Yeah, for sure.
So a couple. You go,
So
Srigo.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Hey, thanks. A couple of weeks ago, you brought up social slashing by Eric Wall that was talking about this at Pagoda, and he talked about he ran an example with the I've got it in the corner of the screen. He gave the example of the Bitcoiners had a soft fork to resolve their version of this, and that he was encouraging that of what? Do you recall, and can you expand on this? And I also note that after that, Vitalik came out and at least published, whether it's his work or someone else's, an addition to the merge, surge, etc. And he added the Scourge, which was to deal with MEV and this sort of OFAC compliance. Do you guys know anything about this? Can you expand on it?
The high level that I took away from listening to the talk and skimming the article was that shit is going to hit the fan. And when the shit hits the fan, the power to do something inherently does not fall in the hands of Vitalik, right? The leader has no power. And when the shit hits the fan, first of all, it's not like Vitalik can come and do something, right? Vitalik has influence. Vitalik can be like, hey, everybody, these people have a gun to my head, and we really have to like censor this and give them the keys because my life is at risk. And then if anybody listens, then it's like, oh, that's censorship. Everyone's just going to like do what Vitalik says. Or people are going to look at that. They're not going to just do what leadership tells them. And what Eric Wall is saying is that, the game theory of it all, of a decentralized network, of a decentralized ecosystem, is that the leadership is like steering, and leadership is helping, and leadership is making decisions, but the system needs to function without leadership. The system needs to function at the lowest levels, right? At the grassroots level, where, with the Bitcoin example, you could be a big blocker, or you could be a little blocker, if you know what that means. But basically there were like the big blockers, or the people that thought Bitcoin should have bigger blocks. And a lot of the people that thought Bitcoin should have the bigger blocks were like a lot of leaders in the space, right? There were a lot of big names that all signed this letter that said Bitcoin should have big blocks. And what happened is that there was a community revolt. There was all these people all around the world that said no. And then they voted a different way, voting the way that Bitcoin votes, with their nodes. And it was the individual grassroots level that, right turned away. And so it's just about, Serenade, did you catch that at all? The social slashing talk?
I did. I don't think I caught that specific talk, but I am familiar with that, kind of nuclear option in general. I don't know all the specifics behind it, but I know that that's something that the entire Ethereum community can come together and do if needed, if there is, and I think it would lead to probably like a hard fork of Ethereum if that ever happened, and there would be a OFAC compliant Ethereum and a non-compliant Ethereum at that point, and let the cards fall where they may at that point, right? As far as like who uses what, I'm less convinced that the larger regulated players will actually, like Circle, right? Uses Circle as the backer of USDC, right? Like, and there, if that ever came to like a decision between using like a OFAC compliant or non-compliant version of Ethereum, my guess is they're going to use the compliant version. So, I mean, these things are big problems that Ethereum is. In my guess is that they're going to come to a head in the next few years, maybe even sooner.
They've already started, right? Because that's what he's outlining here. And the Tornado Cash, right? The Tornado Cash thing is a big deal. because there's a dude in jail, and I don't think he has charges, and he's in jail, right? Other charges? Does anyone know? I don't think there's charges. And he's in jail for writing open source when FTX just rugged like, you know, an unknown amount of people for like 10 or 13 billion dollars, and he's free. His Twitter account works. You know, there's pieces written about him. Yeah, so that's what Eric's saying here. The U.S. government putting smart contract address on OFAC list. Tornado Cash developer Alexei Pertsev being arrested in the Netherlands. Impression that governments are aggressively moving their pieces forward on the chessboard. Many teams developing DeFi applications quickly compiled with these sanctions, according to some, even with an over-compliant tendency. So DeFi teams, right, are being over-compliant, almost an oxymoron there. With the merge, Ethereum is replacing miners with validators. 1 month from now, these validators make up and stance on OFAC compliance is not well known. There's a lot of some of those are unknown. We don't know where they stand. Proof of stake itself has inherent weakness in the sense that regulated custodian entities such as Coinbase, Kraken, and Binance will play an outsized role in this dynamic. All right, and check this out. We're going to get to this in a second because I do have this on a list of stuff to talk about. But FTX destroyed, or Binance destroyed FTX. FTX was the #1 donator to the Democratic Party, and Binance is going to get in trouble. And so we're gonna talk about that. Binance gets in trouble. It's possible that they go along with the regulators to end some of that pain if the U.S. regulators can cause Binance, you know, max pain. So you know, without getting into all of this, can't unstake quickly. It's hard to unstake. It takes time to unstake. Fears of being put on OFAC lists, illogical or not. Yeah, so there's just a lot of risks, right? And this is also a risk with the ENS DAO, right? It's like this isn't something that, you know, people really talk about often, but all of these tokens, all of these votings members, it's not just about what is it? You know, like the MEV stuff, but if you're voting in like, right, ENS DAO, and you vote on something that was like the highest level of national security. I'm an ENS DAO voter. I'm a delegate. I got like, I don't know, like 14,000 votes, right? If I vote in a way that goes against the national interests of a United States regulator, then is that regulator, like, can I get in trouble for saying, hey, I think the regulator's wrong, and I vote to say, or I think this is right? Like, me voting to say that is right, even though I don't have enough votes to have any true meaning or true power, is that me expressing that free speech? Right? I would argue that's free speech. But will the government not care? Because I think writing open source code is also free speech, but Alexei's in jail right now without charges dropped on him. And so, you know, will voting in a DAO get you thrown into jail?
I think we're just at the start of the then they fight us phase of this whole thing. And I feel like that's already happening or has happened. I feel like I've heard something about that in the news about individual DAO members, you know, having like, I don't know, about subpoenas or like legal action or potential legal action. Like, I feel like I've heard something about that, but I forget which one it was. But definitely, I think something like that is going to happen. I don't know to who or to what DAO, but you know, I think it's just unfortunately that's the way things are going.
I feel that First of all, like we always say, this is a revolution, right? No revolution. Web3 is a revolution. No revolution happens peacefully. Like we all know that this stuff is gonna happen. Uh, a coder got put in jail just for writing an open source code. I feel that's just a tactic to scare people and drift them away from creating and building more on the blockchain. And I don't think that we've seen half of it yet, because I don't think that the governments or the establishment are gonna like drop down easily and say, okay, do whatever you want. It's a fucking fight, and everyone needs to get ready for it, whether you're voting in a DAO or maybe just flexing a PFP or using a certain app or whatever.
Yeah, so I mean, in the, like basically what he gets into here, which is the Andreas Antonopoulos strategy, is that you basically nuke the whole network, and you 51 attack your own network, and you because Serene, you're saying that eventually what's going to happen is that you're going to chain split, right? Like essentially, like what I'm reading here is that it's like a user intended, chain split. Because they're saying you basically have an Ethereum user activated soft fork, which would be to some people kind of devastating. But they're saying basically, because basically down here, questions are being asked to places like Coinbase and Kraken and whatnot. If regulators are asking you to censor at the Ethereum protocol level with your validators, right? Your validators of that their customers are, they have their customers are staking with Coinbase, and Coinbase has access to those validators. U.S. regulators want Coinbase and Kraken to censor. Are they going to these are the choices? Are they going to comply and censor at the protocol level? Are they going to are they going to shut down the staking service and preserve the network integrity? Right? And most people are choosing X, that they are going to consider censorship and attack on Ethereum, and they're going to burn their stake via the social consensus. And then Vitalik is saying, for what it's worth, he voted on X, right? He voted to take it as an attack. So it's just it is beautiful that this is being talked about now, and this is being brought up about now, because these are good conversations to have. Because we can definitely see, because he makes the case in the article that the government is moving the chess pieces forward, and so because the government is moving the chess pieces forward, it's very important that people start thinking about what he's talking about here, which is an Ethereum based user activated soft fork. And what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it works because ultimately at the end of the day, it's what makes Ethereum is the users, the layer 0, the social layer, right? That everyone chooses what they want to call Ethereum, and if it were to split into like an OFAC compliant and non-compliant, and the majority of people around the world considered the non-compliant chain to be the canonical chain, then that's what'll win out. And maybe there will be a different chain that could still be used. Like if you need to transact in USDC, then maybe you'll only be able to do it on that other compliant chain because that's the only one that Circle will transact with, right? And so that could be a potential outcome. And it'll just mean that, some of those centralized actors that have no choice but to follow, with the laws of their jurisdiction, they'll just not be players in DeFi or DeFi as we know it. And maybe that's fine. Maybe it's all right to have like different chains like that for different purposes. I don't know.
Well, he's prophesizing it right here, right? He's basically saying, he's basically saying that you could have a U.S. based OFAC Ethereum chain, and then you could have a China CCP chain, and he's saying you could have all these different forks and basically forks and different versions of like Ethereum in the future because they fork in all their different ways. But he's saying that all of these fragmented oxymoronic chains will have to compete against the universal Ethereum. So he's like recognizing that he's basically saying that it is going to fork, and there's going to be the US Ethereum, there's going to be other Ethereums, but there's still always going to be the Ethereum that we have right now that we know and love.
Yeah. The only trouble with that is that, at least for now, I mean, maybe it'll be different in 10 years, 20 years, but for now, you need the fiat on ramps and off ramps, and what is coin number 3, coin number 4 as far as market cap, or even like I think it's like coin number 1 in terms of volume is Tether, and I think and then you have like USDC right behind it, right, where those mark a significant amount of transaction volume on Ethereum and I think other chains as well. So that's going to be a hurdle for people to get around. Like I think I'm definitely in on your side as far as that goes. Like I wouldn't have any reason to, and I wouldn't want to use the OFAC compliant chain. I would want to use Ethereum. I want to use the real Ethereum, right? But
100%.
But what would the larger institutions that that would what would they say, right? And I think like for example with this ENS endowment, for example, because the ENS has part USDC in its treasury and part ETH in its treasury, right?
Well, this is exactly what the conclusion is right here. That's exactly what what you just asked is exactly what I just highlighted, because he's saying to your point, we may only have one shot to get Ethereum right, and he is saying by signaling your support for the user activated soft fork now, that you will be likely helping to deter bad actors, like your example of Coinbase. You'll be able to deter bad actors from staking if they think that they're going to be engaging in this, and the risk of losing all their clients' money in a user-activated soft fork is just simply not worth it. And what does Brian Armstrong say? I'm just going through this article again. I went through this after the conference, but Eric's talk was really inspiring. You should go check out Eric's talk. On the DevCon website, you can watch that talk on YouTube after the show. But Brian Armstrong, CEO, founder Coinbase, it's a hypothetical, but we hopefully won't actually face. But if we did, we'd go with B. I think what was B again? B was to shut down the staking service and preserve the network integrity. Okay, that's a good answer. Got to focus on the bigger picture. There might be some better option like C or a legal challenge as well that could help reach a better outcome. All right, so he's on the record. One day after the slash Coinbase fund, resounding yes, concluding votes. Yeah, this is like a universal symbol, just so you guys know. When you see this X with the black flag, I'm pretty sure that that means something. Yeah, see how they clear it with this. Yeah, it's heavy. This is heavy.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I have nothing against Brian Armstrong or anything like that. I just know that, after the events of the past, few weeks or so, I don't think anyone should trust what anyone says at face value on Twitter, especially when it comes from a CEO of some large company, right? Okay, he can say that on Twitter, but that's not legally binding or in any way. If push came to shove, it may not even be up to him. Maybe up to like whatever company board and what they decide to do, right? And staking, if it's too profitable, businesses are businesses, and they're going to go where the profit is. So just make sure we're all remembering that as well. And if that did come to a head, and Coinbase did decide to not close down their staking but to start censoring, I don't think we should be that surprised about it.
Yeah, and just real quick, it's not just businesses, right? This is also just flesh and blood humans, because there's a lot of just individuals are at risk of being thrown in jail, right? And so in order to get through this, we really all do need to coordinate together, and we all need to work as one, and we all need to like move as one and attack as one, and we need to defend as one in order to get the type of success and get the type of results that we're looking for in this scenario.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah, but we have a new guest on the line. Is it Helen Stans?
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Hello. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Oh, I saw
Yeah.
this show started earlier.
You saw it happen earlier?
No, I'm asking if the show started earlier. Like, I just joined and found that you guys.
Yeah. We started at 5 a.m. your time.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Which we're all in different parts of the world.
Okay.
Yeah, and so now it's 6:07 your time, right? Where you are in
Yes. I'm in Nairobi, Kenya.
Nairobi, Kenya. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ethereum is very, very popular in Kenya.
Yeah, funny enough, yes. But I would still say not so much, because a lot of people like only know how to trade, or just buying and selling crypto, and there's like not so much knowledge on what you can do in the blockchain space. But we are getting there. So yeah.
Yeah, very cool. And well, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And we'll talk about your stuff in a little bit too. But yeah, we were just talking about social slashing and like attacks on Ethereum, and just like different vector attacks from no one really in particular. I mean, any sort of regulator, let it be from China or Europe or Russia or Australia, or just like anywhere. If they don't like what Ethereum is doing, 75% of or almost 75% of Ethereum being censored through OFAC relays. Any last thoughts, or you guys want to talk about with that? 184 Thread Girl, anybody?
No, I think you summed it up correctly. Heavy. It's worth a read. It's worth everyone taking a look at. So that was YouTube. Search social slashing on Ethereum Foundation. And,
I searched like Eric Wall social slashing. He has a great Medium article. In addition to the Medium article, I would check out his talk from DevCon, the most recent DevCon. Should be same name, same title. Eric Wall's The Case for Social Slashing, or something to that effect. Yeah, because you need people to be paying attention. If people aren't paying attention, we're all the captain. We're all driving the ship. We all need to be looking for the iceberg.
Yeah, I have no problem pointing out inconvenient truths, because I think it's kind of I think people need to hear when they need to stand up and pay attention to these things, right? So I think it's good when people point out that stuff, even if it doesn't happen to be like the most bullish thing ever, because people what people try to do is they try to FUD their own bags, essentially is one way to put it, because they're trying to poke holes in their own narrative, right? And I think that's what a lot of people try to do when they're so convicted that they want to, is like, okay, am I wrong about this? And try to go to that narrative, go to your own narrative, and try to poke as many holes as you can in it, and bring that to the community so that people can discuss it openly and solve those problems. I think that's a lot better than ignoring the problem and pretending to be bullish when really inside there's some pit in your stomach that you're worried about something, right? I think it's better to air that out in the open, and I think that this all this censorship talk on Ethereum is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, I'm really happy to hear more people talk about it. Sometimes I feel like there aren't enough people talking about it. There aren't enough people paying attention to some of the details and the nuance and the risk. And yeah, some people feel like it's a downer, or it's not talking about the money going up, the number going up. But yeah, I mean, it's just simply, I mean, we just need to take responsibility, right? There needs to be, somehow there needs to be like pride in being knowledgeable. There needs to be like we used to be tribes, right? And we used to have people that the different people did different things, and you had to like protect from danger, right? It's like there's danger when in evolution, and having this digital awakening, we are living and we are evolving, and there is still danger, and we need people to like like we need to recognize that we need warriors, right? We need warriors, and we need like watchers, and we need people to plan parties to keep up morale. It's like everybody's important, but it's like having a healthy society. It's like having a healthy culture, right? It's making sure that if we're a Web3 culture, if we're a Web3 nation, that our people are well fed, that our people are well educated, that our people are well clothed, right? We need to make sure that our people are well armed with the mental knowledge and the physical tools for this new digital world. It can't just be about the price of the PFP going up, and people getting rich, because we know that's going to lead to centralization. We know that's going to go backwards. And I think that the potential of what's possible is obviously infinitely greater than the negative outcome that there is the potential to exist. So yeah, it's awesome when people are paying attention, and when they're speaking up, and they're having those conversations, and are making things better, and we're working together, and we're defending together, and we're attacking together, and we're growing together, because that's infrastructure, that's layering of community.
Let me ask you guys something. I mean, uh, education is the most important thing to combat against anything, right? Whether crypto illiteracy or DeFi illiteracy. But how can we actually combat what's coming? Like when we start seeing mass adoption, how much can you educate, and how much education is enough education? I feel that at some point education isn't gonna be enough. We're gonna have to actively do stuff to combat this. So I was wondering, what do you think are like good ways to approach this, other than the obvious teaching people and knowing ourselves what's happening?
So we can answer that, but it's like one of those things where you have, I mean, you can't just ignore the part of the question with the education, because the education is extremely important, because you got to recognize that it's not just a game where you're planting trees. It's a game where someone else is actively cutting the trees down. And so every time you onboard somebody, there's somebody else who's being onboarded, right? What does that mean? That means there's other people who are being given propaganda. There's other people who are being given misinformation. There's other people who are being given disinformation. And it's like a video game. It's like all these pieces being changed against you, and it's like the tide being turned against you. And so education is really, really important. And then I would say practice is really, really important. So I guess we need to practice what we preach. We need to, just like figure out not just knowing the know, but we have to do the do.
And so, I would say like one of the best things to practice would be run your own Ethereum node, run your own Ethereum validator.
Do you do that?
Yeah.
And the Bitcoiners tell me it's really, I don't do it. I don't do it. But I hear on Twitter the Bitcoiners say it's hard. The Ethereans say it's not hard. You're saying it's kind of easy?
It's definitely harder than it is for a Bitcoin node, because a Bitcoin node is very simple. I mean, I will.
That's one thing.
I won't argue with that. Because Bitcoin itself is very simple. It doesn't change very often. Hasn't changed. I mean, I think the latest thing, the Taproot, is like the latest thing that they added to the. But other than that, it's very simple, and there's a lot about out of the box solutions. But for an Ethereum, for an Ethereum node itself, just a node, not just a validator, but just an Ethereum node, I think that's just as easy, because you have out of the box easy solutions for that today. And then the Ethereum validator, a little bit more involved, but again, there's like guides for this that walk you through step by step what to do if you're not, if you're not familiar with.
I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'm obviously going to do it. Yeah, I'm not running a node yet. I'm talking shit freaking live on YouTube about not just knowing the know, but doing the do. If that's not a sign, I don't know what is. So yeah, I'm going to walk to talk. So there you go. It's like, so, I mean, it's part of the answer, Thread Girls, that you got to actually do it. It's like with the ENS world, to bring it there, it's like we're teaching people about ENS. We're teaching people about Web3 and decentralization and like participation. And we're teaching people about the ENS DAO. We're teaching people about how tokens do voting. And so of all the people that know that, who are the people who are actually purchasing the tokens? And who are the people who are then, voting with the tokens, or they're delegating, or they're checking up on their delegator or their delegate, and they're validating that the delegate's doing their job, and they're changing their delegator if the delegator's not voting. It's like people need to participate. And then I think the third step would probably be to expand, so it's like learn, then do, and then, grow and expand.
Speaking of the delegation piece, have you seen that site that they put up recently, the review site? I think that's great. I think it will help out a lot for people to want to make it as easy as possible to redelegate. Not only has the core team opened up this free redelegation period now, but now they even have this review site. It's just review.ens.domains, I believe. And if you're already a delegator, then you can go through and you have a tweet for it. There you go. I don't know if that was already on your agenda or not, but
It wasn't, but I figured since you brought it up, I was like, oh yeah, that was a good idea. Because I did that tweet like right after last night's show. I totally even forgot about it. Yeah. So, just yes, since you brought it up, for the past 12 months, I myself have been an ENS delegate. And yeah, just like you're saying, it's the 2020 or the 2022 year in review is ready to share with everybody. Everybody that has ENS tokens and has delegated ENS tokens can go to this website and you can check your delegation, your delegate. And so with me, I voted 36 times, which is 87.8% of all the proposals. I'm ranked 14th out of the 29,000 of voting activity. You can go check out all my specific votes, but this is like the specific data for on-chain, off-chain, number 14, 87.8 in total, ranked 14, and then there's a POAP, which everybody, go claim your POAP if you were a delegator. Yeah, so your delegate votes on your behalf. If you're not happy with your delegate, then you can change your delegate for free. Some restrictions may apply, and you can do that up until December 8th. That website that you should go check out to do that, I have it in my tweet thread over there. Always be careful like with websites and URLs. A lot of scammers out there, but this is delegate.ens/delegate-ranking. Yeah, so you can
yeah, I think anyone who has like at least, I think the gas-free delegations, like anyone who has at least 100 ENS tokens can do that for free. But even if you don't, I think the actual delegation transaction at current gas prices is like $1 to $2 anyway, so it's not a big deal. But they're trying to make it as frictionless as possible without opening it up to a bunch of bots or something.
And Serena, you're a delegate as well, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We got 2 delegates on stage.
I believe Helen Stans is as well, I think. Or at least, she's been on a lot of the DAO working group calls, I know.
Yeah, but I'm not a delegate, unfortunately. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, speaking of Helen Stans, hey, so
Hello.
yeah, it is great to meet you and to talk with you. Thank you so much for showing up. You had reached out to me some time ago, and I was very, very impressed that you reached out, and I was really, really impressed with the application for, I believe, the stewardship at the time, and
Yeah.
And I didn't know who you were. You were new to me, and then I checked you out. I was like, you seemed real, right? You never know, who's real. And you then fast forward to November 2022, and I see this ENS redirect pop on the scene, and that's you.
Yes. Actually, it's me and Steve. You probably know him from the ENS registry bot. He helped me build it and get it to where it is right now. I should probably give a disclaimer that I'm not a technical person, like completely. So yeah.
You're on your way.
yeah, I'm getting there, definitely.
You're superiorly more technical than the vast majority of this planet.
I tend to disagree with that because I can't even write a single line of code. So
I do.
yeah, but I'm not badly off. I mean, I have some knowledge and I understand things, but yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So what's the story of ENS Direct.xyz? Is there like a story to it, or you want to like share like a background or anything?
Yeah, actually, that's the thing. Having no technical background in anything, the idea was, let's create something for folks who don't have a technical skill and have utility for their ENS domain. So essentially, register an ENS domain and then redirect it to whatever website that you want, and then just have fun with it. So basically, that was the idea, like a simple redirect tool. We felt like it's something that it's needed, for anyone who doesn't have the technical skills to build a website. And yeah, so that's what's the idea of building ENS redirect. Yeah.
Cool. And yeah, so it looks really cool. It looks like it uses sign in with Ethereum. Really, really simple interface. Just sign in with Ethereum, and you could just pop in. Do you have to own the ENS name? Can I just
Yes. That was one of the things that we made sure. So yeah, it has to be a domain that you own and control.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just won't go through. If I went through with this, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really slick. Like it's so slick that I think it should be integrated into the official ENS manager website. Like I think that's a feature that should be there. I know, like for the V3 app that's coming up for ENS, they're planning on doing some similar stuff for like the avatar, right? Because right now for the avatar, like if you want it on IPFS, you have to go off to like some other IPFS site like Pinata or whatever and put it up there and get the hash and put it. It's all kind of like technical stuff, right? And I think what the ENS team is working on for like the avatar is to like smooth that whole process out. So like all you have to do is you just browse for whatever file you want from your computer, and it automatically uploads to IPFS and does all the technical stuff for you. And so this ENS redirect is kind of doing that same thing, but for your website. So like, in case anyone who didn't know, like you can direct your ENS name to a decentralized website. And decentralized website means that it's hosted on some decentralized storage protocol that could be like IPFS or Arweave. There's many others that are supported. And so what this ENS redirect is actually doing is it will automatically create the decentralized website for you. And that decentralized website just has like a redirect script inside of the website that just redirects to whatever DNS website that you want to. So if all you want to do is you want to have your .eth name redirect to an existing website out there in the DNS Web 2 world, that's really easy to do with this site. And I think it's like so slick and easy that it should be like a feature that's in the actual ENS manager. That's at some point. But I think it's really cool.
Yeah, and even when I remember, like we launched like a day ago, we had so many people who were like, "Oh my God, we've been waiting for this forever. Thank you so much for building it." And we had so many people reach out, so excited to try it out. And I remember even when I got my first DNS domain, I wanted to do something with it, and if that time I knew I could redirect it to probably even my LinkedIn profile, maybe I'm applying for, a Web3 role, and I just want folks to know who I am, and I could use my ENS domain to show that. It's definitely something that's useful, and seeing people play around with that, and even other people are redirecting their domain to even fun stuff like a YouTube video or a music video from the 80s or something fun. We've definitely seen a lot of people play around with it, and I feel like that's the goal.
So how about I show? I think you're on mute. How about I show what it is? I won't share screen, but I'll show something. So if you check out right now on ens.app.domains, just 3041.eth, we'll see the before and we'll see the after, and then we can try the link.
Yes.
Again, I won't share the screen just because I'm not set up for it, but I'm going to do it now. I've got my ledger and I'm ready to do it. So I'm typing in 30.
So what is the
in 3041.eth.
3041.eth. Got it.
Yeah.
All right, and you're gonna. So right now, if I go to 3041.eth limo,
it'll do nothing. But if you go to the
it'll do something.
okay, it'll go to Nimi. But if you were to check out the app manager, you'll see that there's absolutely nothing in there. So I'm just going to follow the steps now in ENS redirect. I'm typing 3041.eth. Next. Happy days. Now I'm entering my website, which I've preloaded. Next, it's given me a sign. Something's happening. Oh, shit. Pardon me. I'm not the controller of this one. Let me find something else.
Yeah, it has to be a domain that you control. Yeah.
I am
That's the way it should be, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
you won't be able to set it otherwise because you have to be able to set the record. What you're actually doing is you're setting the content hash record on your name.
Yeah,
so you got to be the controller.
I was just in the wrong wallet. Let me connect that. All right, we're doing it again. Enter the website, redirect.
I think
sign.
that f.limo with the Nimi connection. That's like something that's like they set up with f.limo, I think, right?
Yeah, at that limo. Yeah, that's a limo Nimi partnership.
Yeah, because I think like at the 3041.f.link does not work right now.
Correct.
Yeah. It's like what does Sean have? Sean has like .photos, doesn't he? You guys know Sean? Yeah. This is Sean's. You know the finance guy. So when you do .photos with your name,
yeah, that's cool.
And you got your NFTs, and
that's kind of like the ETH.xyz page, similar sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean anyone that has like a ETH anything can set up one of these really cool relay. Sort of.
All right, that's worked. That's live. If you want to give it a crack.
Wrong one. All right, I'm trying to catch the. Okay, I gotta restart.
Yeah, there will be some TTL. I'm sure. I don't know how, and that'll kind of be based on ETH.limo as well.
It takes at least 40.
Yeah. I think that's also something that I should say. We realized that with Limo, if you already had set a record before and then you are doing that again, it might take maybe 10 to 15 minutes before, you can get that.
So on my end, it's working. It's working in my browser.
Yeah, but I actually just went to the website, so I think I created a local cache in the internet.
Command Shift R.
I'm Domain Shift there. Yeah. Yeah.
The link f.link one worked for me.
Yeah, I created a cache.
Well, either way, it was incredibly easy to do. It cost less than $2 on current gas, and that wasn't my website. Clearly, so easy to do, and a great tool.
All right, and this is the code of the website. So it's like you were saying, it's super simple. All it is a really simple HTML file, right? It's a really simple, for everybody watching, this is just a really simple HTML file, and it pops in the script in the body, and the script simply says, hey, go here instead. And it's a really clean, amount of data. And
we just generated the HTML file, and then we
get myself demonetized and banned.
It's just that simple. And also something else that we had some people ask is if we have our own contract, and the answer is no, we don't. We just call the content hash from your resolver's address on your ENS domain records.
Yeah, really clean. I mean, I love it. and I think it's really useful for a lot of people because and it's crazy because the ENS interface, they actually could have done this, and I'm pretty sure they actually made the intentional decision to not do this. And they made the intentional decision to not do this because they actually didn't want to encourage the behavior of sending Web3 sites to Web2 sites. They wanted to encourage people to build on Web3 and do Web3. But it's kind of like the movie Jurassic Park. Life will find a way. And this is what people want. This is what people need. And this has really practical uses and practical applications. And like think about it. I could make a sub, like think about how freaking cool this is. And you can expand this, Helen Stands, is to like help people create subdomains. Because think about this. I could have a subdomain. I have GaryPalmerJr.eth, and I could have docs.GaryPalmerJr.eth. I could have sheets.GaryPalmerJr.eth. And when I type in sheets.GaryPalmerJr.eth.limo, it opens up a new Google spreadsheet for me. How cool is that? When I go to docs.GaryPalmerJr.eth.limo, it opens up a brand new Google Doc for me. How cool is that?
Oh wow, yeah, definitely that's cool and something that we will probably explore. I mean,
maybe
so
tweet. Can you make it so if I go to tweet.GaryPalmerJr.eth.limo, it'll automatically go to Twitter and open up a new tweet? Is that possible?
Yeah.
Yeah, people do that all the time on websites, and it's like automatically fills the content. Like it's like a short link to automatically. I mean, it's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. I'm definitely going to write that down, and then we will definitely work on it because the idea is we want to help more folks, play around with their ENS name and hard utility, and yeah.
I think you're muted again, Gary.
Oh man, I keep on doing that. I'm trying to make sure that I'm not like, but then I forget to take the mic off. Yeah, so I think this is really cool for the building. I think this is going to open up a lot of possibilities for people, and I think it opens up their imagination. Yeah, it's like it'll be interesting to see what your iterations are. It'll be interesting to see, how this develops. Yeah, I just think it really adds a lot onto the imagination for people and like what they could do. I think there's like something cool there. It's like that subdomain idea I was saying where, you could have like just route people different ways based on different subdomains or even, maybe you could have like 184.eth.limo/ you get like a slash something. But I guess then you get into just building websites too. It's like maybe you give people, you give them the option to, do a redirect, but maybe they want to have a HTML page. Maybe they don't want it to redirect. Maybe they just want a website, and we just, there's so many like options and possibilities of what can happen.
Yeah, and I wonder if there is actually, someone working on. I know that building a .eth website is not easy. Like, if you could upload a file, like a HTML file, and then I don't know, like, it definitely needs coding into it, I think. But if there was a way people could actually upload files and, make some edits and build their own website, definitely that would be cool. But yeah, it's a challenge.
I remember correctly, I think maybe Asteroids, I forget how to pronounce it, is working on something like that. Kind of like call it like a Wix or Wix for Web3 or a Squarespace for
Dylan.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dylan
yeah.
from Toshi Vision.
Yeah. He's actually from, I'm actually working with the Asteroids team, and he does such an amazing job with this. Even also has an explanation on how to redirect your website, but in form of like creating an HTML file and all that. And yeah, it's such an amazing thing, but I feel like there is a gap, and is it, even when you look at how folks operate in Web2, not everyone has a website. Like, not everyone wants to create a website from scratch. Maybe they just want to redirect to something or direct to a profile that they own or something. And yeah, there is, yeah.
I mean, there's tools today to make that really simple. I think like Squarespace, is probably one that a lot of people are familiar with, and it's very like visual. Like you don't have to know coding. There's a lot of drag and drop stuff. Like you can, okay, yeah, I want this widget there, I want this here, I want my name here, and this stuff, this photo here, right? And it's pretty easy for non-technical people to create websites. And it's been that way for you. I mean, obviously, like back when this kind of first started in the 90s, you had to be a coder, you had to know what you were doing, but it became easier and easier to now, like virtually anyone can create a website with these tools out there. And so we just need similar tools for the decentralized website world.
Yeah, definitely.
We need more of the decentralized world. We need more of the decentralized world and less of this centralized world.
Yeah, I mean, how cool is that you get your own domain, and then you can create a website or even create your entire Web3 identity using that, which is something that's definitely not available in Web2.
Helen, I'm muted here because I'm redirecting my ENS domain as we speak. That's why I'm not talking a lot.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you. And yeah, I think even being part of the ENS DAO and attending calls, one thing that I love is how it's like the ENS ecosystem is like this playground where you can experiment with a lot of things, and you meet all these cool people doing different things or building different tools, and there is an entire ecosystem of people who are so excited and have this energy, and it's so fun. I mean, when we launched it, I think 2 days ago, we've had amazing support and just people reaching out and saying, wow, and it's, yeah, I just wanted to say that the ENS ecosystem is such a fun place to play around with things and meet amazing people.
Absolutely, and from like a complementary perspective is that it's just so exciting that when these things come out, these little pieces, I get to play around with them as well. So I'm not a builder, but when it's almost one per week comes out, that I get to trial it and get different ideas on what I might do in the future or what this whole system might look like. So it's amazing products like ENS Redirect that making the space very cool.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, and you don't need to write your own contracts for it. You just use the existing open protocol, the open ENS protocol, the open ENS contracts, and build on top of them. I mean, I think that's why we've seen such like a Cambrian explosion of different ENS tools out there, because it is so open and easy for anyone to build on top of it. I know, like, Greg Skrill is another person who like builds like a whole bunch of like different, he helped build like the ENS Ferry website and some other various tools to like help out, maybe to fill some gaps, right? And I think that's great.
There's a lot of gaps. This was a major gap. This is something that clearly like a lot of people wanted. I mean, I remember asking for it since years and years ago. And the market will decide, you know.
Yeah.
And the market is deciding, and the regulators are deciding too. And yeah, we were talking earlier about the FTX stuff and how Binance had hurt FTX. And with FTX out of the picture, it seems to have hurt people in politics. And so now Binance's role is coming under congressional scrutiny. And a lot of people predicted that, you know, Binance coming after FTX was going to make the US government come after Binance. And now we find out that this is happening.
I think they were already kind of going after Binance to begin with. I think that's like
Binance is under investigation already by like regulators. Yes.
Yeah, but even the regulation that Sam Bankman-Fried was working with the regulators on was, I think that's where this whole thing started, is because, you know, it, you know, helped him and hurt Binance. So I think what's likely to happen is that, well, a lot of these politicians who received donations are probably going to be pretty embarrassed about it, and you know, they might even have to give some of it back, and if the courts claw back that money in bankruptcy proceedings and stuff like that. So that could happen.
You've been paying attention to the FTX Binance stuff?
A little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Let me show you this. You've seen this tweet?
I haven't seen that one. Nope.
So let me read this out loud. This guy Satoshi Stacker said this is getting weird. So October 6th, some unknown hacker drains $580 million out of BNB out of a hack, and then a month later, 30 days later, Binance starts dumping the exact same amount of FTT token, and so then. The same day that Binance is dumping $580 million in FTT token, FTX is urging CZ to stop dumping FTT. And the day after, CZ says that he's willing to stop dumping and trade all the garbage FTT token if FTX gives them that $580 million in BNB. And it's just interesting. Like, yeah, it says 570 million over here. It's probably like 579 million, how those numbers work. And then over here you have the 580 million. So I mean, it's just I'm sorry to do this, but because maybe it's like, it's just a coincidence, right? And I'm just bringing up a coincidence, and it's just a coincidence.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, you just don't know, right? It's like the TV show Silicon Valley, and like Elon Musk was talking about that, and he was saying how that real life Silicon Valley is more messed up than the TV show Silicon Valley, which is a great show. I think everyone should watch Silicon Valley. It's such a good show. But yeah, and it's just this just plays into the regulation, and yeah, the whole FTX and SBF, he was making this regulatory deal, and like him and his family are very close with the regulators. But the big thing that gets me isn't that. The big thing is that FTX was, they were getting privilege to do things that were otherwise illegal. So it's just, they were doing things that were illegal. They were writing the legislation, and then they were going to be able to put themselves in a position where through, the law of centralization, he was going to have that power forever moving forward, which is pretty, it's a Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? It's not Web3, it's Game of Thrones. And I think it's important to consider the fact that there's very little difference between Web3 and Game of Thrones. I think Web3 is Game of Thrones. Circle got hurt too. Circle's USDC issuance falls $3 billion from the Binance stablecoin conversions because Circle was attributing a miscalculated financial projections the Binance is implementing of the USDC to BUSD, right? From USDC to Binance stablecoin. And those auto conversions were happening, and and in addition to the recent collapse of FTX. And I think what happened is that it like dropped the liquidity and the amount of numbers, the amount of money that was in one account versus what they were expecting to be in the account, and it causes instability to have those numbers off and makes people uneasy, and they got to be like, hey, why did this happen? And so yeah, 3 billion of the 8, so it's a significant amount, 3 billion of the 8.3 billion in decline out of circulation. And the way these things work, they need to grow, they need to get bigger. You know what I mean? They can't, this is a big drop. You know what I mean? Your boss is this is a major underperformance. It's what's the risk? That's a huge risk. It's a huge red flag. And that is and USDC is it's like the private stable coin, right? It's we talked about the other day how the government's working, private banks are working with the Federal Reserve on a government-based fiat distributed ledger technology, central bank digital currency, Fed coin. And USDC is basically a private corporate, coin. And this is just another, and this is another thing that's being attributed to Binance. This is another thing that's Binance's fault, right? And Binance, by a long shot, they're the number one, exchange in the world. And so it's a lot. It's a lot of power Binance has, and in the Web3 Game of Thrones, I mean, they just slayed FTX. They slayed Alameda. Cascadingly in the court, they slayed BlockFi, right? There's other exchanges that are continuing to go down. Crypto.com, you know what I mean? Salt. I mean, I shouldn't be able to name that many. And Binance is, at least on the surface, because they could be almost just at risk. You know what I mean? They could, you just don't know with these centralized exchanges. It's just not your keys, not your coin. Your money shouldn't be on the exchange.
Well, yesterday, one of the conversations was that, there's always someone who's liked and someone who's disliked. I think the example was Kevin O'Leary was no longer people's favorite person, and Jamie Dimon was someone that said nice things about this. We had in all this commotion, 50% of the camp saying CZ was a terrible person and 50% saying Binance is great, the last survivor. 24 hours later, and now it's terrible again. In crypto, we just seem to jump around with who's a good person, who's a bad person. And it all returns to self-custody and have to trust yourself.
Do you guys think that, I've seen a lot of people on crypto Twitter say that, everyone should move to DeFi and, not use crypto exchange anymore. But when you look at, for example, Binance, in Africa, everyone who gets into crypto, the first thing that they download is Binance, and for us it's so easy to use, and the off-ramp and on-ramp of crypto, it's really easy. We depend on P2P, not cards, and that's something that DeFi doesn't have. But I see a lot of people on crypto Twitter say that maybe it's time for people to learn more about DeFi and to use it. Do you guys see, us moving towards DeFi and, leaving the exchanges?
Not 100%, but I mean, I encourage, because it's still, it's not 100% easy, because, some, like on Ethereum, there's still like a cost of doing business. And so it's not affordable for everybody to do everything on chain. And maybe they should do everything on chain, but they just don't have the money, and it's just easier to do it cheaper. It's easier to take the risk because you're saving so much money. And so a lot of people are taking that risk because it's easy, and a lot of people are taking that risk because it's cheaper. And as more more people take those risks, and then every so often they get really, really hurt, and then they learn that they should be on DeFi. And so it's hard to say, because it's like, I think every time one of these things happen, more people turn toward DeFi. I think every time one of these things happen, more people turn to self-custody. And this is exactly what Draper was saying, right, that we were talking about earlier in the show. That this is like one of the things why Draper said, like why he's still sticking to his original quote, his price prediction, because his quote is that he thinks this fiasco is going to bring a lot more Bitcoin maximalists. And he thinks that this is basically going to teach people that centralized systems are bad. Crypto centralized is bad. Fiat centralized is bad. Any decentralized is bad. And he even states down here that he custodies his own tokens. He self-custodies his own tokens, mainly on Ledger and also on Coinbase. And those platforms don't use his tokens to borrow. They don't use his tokens to invest. It's just him and his tokens. And so this fiasco is going to get, and yeah, it's going to create more Bitcoin maximalists, but it's also going to create a lot of more DeFi maximalists, right? And so,
Yeah,
like, every time there's more of us.
Yeah, I feel like at the end of the day, it's just more education on centralized exchanges are not safe, and you should use it to just buy your crypto, or sell, and lean more towards the self-custody wallets. At the end of the day, I feel like that we just need to educate more people on that, like to not store their crypto on exchanges.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think, it's not 100%, but to answer the question, yeah, this makes more people see DeFi, and this makes more people realize the safety and the advantages of doing the hard work of self-custody.
Helen Stens, can I ask what the community is like in you said you're in Kenya. Is there a ENS, Kenyan, East African, Swahili community?
So far I know a couple of people. Actually, one of the people is Steve. Steve is also Kenyan, and he's actually the person who onboarded me to ENS. And then afterwards, we have a couple of people who were like, "Hey, we got this domain for you. Have it," and then we send it to them, and there is already like a crypto community, and we have, a group of people that we know, and we talk to them and educate them. And so yeah, we have a decent community, but it's still small. But we hope that, actually, I need to chat with Steve and just have more people join the ENS community, and even give them ENS domains.
Awesome.
I thought I'm trying to recall here. I thought I saw a poll where there's some speculation that the next DevCon could be in Africa.
Oh wow! I really wish that's true. I mean, I've always wanted to attend
You'll
such
have
events.
a short flight.
Yeah, I would definitely love to attend such events. I only see people attend them, and then I feel, I form so bad when I see a lot of people attend DevCon and these Ethereum events, and then yeah. I really hope that we'd get to a point where we also have these Ethereum community events so much in Africa.
Yeah, so there's this poll here.
Oh wow!
Bogota clearly a huge boost to the LATAM crypto community. Would be great to do Africa next. Where should the next Ethereum Foundation DevCon be? And yeah, I mean, Kenya's got a good showing here, 14.
Yeah. Nigeria has a large crypto community and even like population in general. But yeah, I mean, if it's in Nigeria, it would definitely, it's closer to Kenya. So
Yeah. Cool. Well, I mean, I don't think I've seen anything yet. They teased it, but they teased it, but they didn't tell us anything. So
I have a feeling it's gonna be like somewhere, maybe Turkey or those kind of countries. By the way,
you think where?
Turkey,
Turkey.
yeah.
I have no
Heard,
idea.
I heard chatter in the community about that.
Cool. I mean, it could be anywhere.
yeah, I mean, that I feel like at this point, we like here we also have so many other events. Like we get to see different different crypto communities, coming. Like for example, Celo. When you look at Celo and Polygon, they are so much in Africa, and there are usually so many events. So yeah, I mean, we are getting there, and who knows? Maybe DevCon will be, in Africa maybe at some point.
Can you share a little bit more about, you said Celo and was it Polygon a lot in Africa? Do you mean events, or it's something that the African community or East African community is paying attention to?
It's kind of both. I mean, Celo, they have different projects, refi projects in Africa. Yeah, especially East Africa actually. So through that, they hold so many hackathons and just events, and that applies to Polygon as well. So those are the most known crypto projects that are frequently holding events and hackathons in Africa. Yeah.
By the way, I think like the best place the event could be now is in Dubai because huge communities in Dubai are forming around ENS. I've been seeing ENS DAO, which is like the biggest Web3 community in Dubai. They are starting to get into ENS. There is that Bidu thing. I don't know if you guys heard about it. 2117. They've been trying to purchase 2117 as well, but the owner ain't is not selling it to them. And yeah, there's a huge community forming about around ENS. I feel Dubai would be the best place to hold an event and next.
I think it's just the affordability side of things. I mean, I remember reading the thread that you brought up before, Gary, or maybe it was in that thread, but I think the commentary was looking for a place that's people can get to, which Dubai is clearly one of those places, but also, Dubai is not the cheapest place. Costs an arm and a leg, and I say that because today I was having a phone call about moving there, so it's not it's not cheap. So I'm all for Kenya. I'm all for it. I think that'd be great. That's just one flight for me.
Yeah, me too. Kenya or Turkey. Turkey is even closer, but Kenya, I'm down to visit that part of Africa. Let's go.
Yeah, speaking of that, even there was as a group of people that I know formed in Safari. It's also like we kind of they host events. They had their first one I think 2 months ago, and I remember I even helped them get their domain, and I was even like, oh my god, I wish the subdomains were out, and then I could just have the entire community get their own subdomains on its Safari, and that I can't wait to have just on board people and all these communities in East Africa, especially with subdomains, and yeah, and yes, definitely you guys should come to Kenya.
So I'm going to share. I have one Swahili word, and it's a funny word. It's pumbavu.
I'm not sure if I should translate that. It's like calling someone idiot.
Yeah, that's right. I think I've got gazelle as well. I forget what that one is, but pumbavu definitely.
Yeah.
Helen, DM me some swear words so I can
Hey,
mint them.
not on, come on, guys. We gotta save that for the private show. We gotta save that for the private show. We'll get some members, and then we'll get a private show going, and we can do all the swear words in Swahili.
Yeah, I'm happy
especially
to
especially if we go to Kenya for DevCon, because we'll have to have all the language classes ready.
Yeah, I'll teach you all. I mean, Swahili is fun, trust me. And even the Swahili food is amazing.
Helen, let me ask you something. Do you have any plans to build more on redirect like build more on this or that's it?
No, yeah, definitely. Definitely we are looking at building more stuff and seeing how that goes. I mean, it's just started out as a fun project and having people play around with their ENS domain, and we are definitely open to trying out things that helps the ENS holders, create more fun utility with their domain. Yeah, we are definitely going to play around and add more stuff to it.
Nice. I love to hear that. And man, like I'm bullish on builders in general, but more bullish on people building things for the average user, right? I'm not at all tech savvy, and like this in and out fast, easy things to do. Yeah, this is mass adoption in ENS by itself in a sense. So yeah, full support for what you're doing and keep it up, bullish on you and redirect.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, really happy to have you on, and really excited to see what you do next. I mean, you're obviously a go-getter, and getting shit done, and filling out applications and putting pen to paper and getting websites done and getting code done and getting your name out there and getting your brand out there and connecting with people in the community and building a strong reputation for yourself. Yeah, you're doing a couple things right.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I'd say the ENS community itself is such a fun place. So, I mean, why not have all the fun and, you know, interact with people at the same time? And yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey everybody, thanks for coming on the show. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, totally. It's been really cool.
It's cool chatting about some of these things, and some we had some talked about some really cool things that are happening. We talked about some really insightful things that are happening, and yeah, it's just great to think about these out loud instead of just thinking about it on your own. Or it's like it's cool to you know it's like back in the day you'd get together with your community or your friends at like the bar or at someone's house, um or somewhere, right? And you'd get together and you'd go over the interesting things of whatever your club is about or whatever your interests were about. So it's just great that I think it's great that we're able to talk about these things and we're able to develop these ideas, like, the Eric Wall social slashing idea or the OFAC censorship idea, or just like, the whole building in Web3 and Web2 and merging those worlds idea. It's just a lot of improvement in the way that we think when we think collaboratively, right? I think there's like a lot of strength and being able to think on your own and having your own personal time. But I think a part of brainstorming is coming together and, mixing your ideas with other people at the same time.
Gary, I wanted to say one thing. First of all, thank you for this amazing show today. It was
Yeah.
super educational over. I'm definitely gonna do some more research about things that I learned today that I had no idea about. And like you said, being able to talk about things gives you a lot more to think about. And one thing that stuck with me today that you said actually, and someone actually tweeted this: everyone is pro censorship, just different degrees. I feel this. We should like really reflect on this because we're always talking about decentralized and censorship. There's a very thin line between those two, and to what extent are we willing to take this is the question. I'm definitely gonna be thinking about that. Um, so thank you, Gary. Thank you, 184. Always a pleasure talking to you guys. Serene, man, super nice talking to you for the first time. You're such a giga brain, man. And Alan,
You too.
can't wait to hear what and to see what you build on next. Thank you, guys.
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, this was fun. Yeah, and Gary, yeah, thank you for having me. I mean, I just remembered when I got my first domain and was getting my way around the ENS community. You are the first person to pop up on my Twitter feed. I feel like anyone who wants to get onboarded on the on ENS, you are like the go-to Twitter profile where someone gets down the rabbit hole of trying to see what everyone is building on the ENS community and what's happening. So yeah, you do such an amazing work, and thank you for having me, and thank you everyone.
Yeah, it's been
Awesome.
great. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, everybody. Cheers.
Yeah, later. Thank you very much. Nice talking to y'all.
See everyone. Thanks for showing up. And just don't forget that together we are minting coins.